Okay, so pre-flight of the R66 is really no different than a 44 or any aircraft. You're looking for the same things: cracks, dents, chafing, corrosion, fretting, leaks. So I usually start in the front of the helicopter, just sight along the blade, make sure there's no dents, cracks, any delamination going on. Sight along the front of the mast fairing, same thing. This one has the heated P-dot tube, which is required for certain countries. Come along the front, make sure all the rivets are in there, screws, trim string, tie down for the front blade, and we now have the new HID lighting, high intensity diffusion lights. So these will last forever, so we can actually leave them on all the time now, whereas the old 44s, they burned out quite often. So these, for collision avoidance, you can leave on all the time. General cosmetic beauty of the front and the belly. Okay, so right side of the helicopter, make sure the door pins are installed. You should have 2 for each door. Check the lights. Obviously, if we're flying at night, we're going to turn them all on. General cosmetic beauty. Check the fairing there. You have a static port on this side as well as one on the other side. Baggage, just make sure that's latched. Okay, so as you can see, it's a fairly large baggage compartment. You can put 300 pounds of baggage in there. You still have storage under each one of the seats. So you can see under here, there's energy absorption seat there. So you do have a max fill line under there, so you've got about that much space as opposed to the 44 where you could use the whole seat. Okay, check the intakes, make sure that's clear. General cosmetic beauty. All these intakes are clear. This is actually an intake, but also a door that pops open. In here you have your ELT, your air filter, and you can see the flex coupling and shaft going to the main rotor gearbox. It's also fuel lines. There's an oil cooler in there, a little hamster cage we call it, that just spins on the top of the shaft up there. Engine right side. You can see the basic turbine, compressor, your accessory gearbox, the turbine, exhaust. Your APU is here for plug-in, a starter generator, fuel control. And again, you're just looking for the normal stuff, and it all looks good.
The beauty of the Release 9 system architecture is that you have 2 fully redundant integrated flight displays. Each has access to all the systems and data. Providing full redundancy and eliminating traditional reversionary modes, Release 9 allows either display to be configured as the PFD. Now your failure modes are much more manageable because you can continue to fly with the same familiar display symbology without the need to relearn composite modes you don't typically fly with. Avidyne's Integra Release 9 is truly the next generation in fully integrated flight deck technology.
Okay, so you can peek in here behind the turtle back, and you can see the push-pull tube bell crank that goes back to the tail rotor. You can also see some of the frame and the wiring. Check your attaching points. Obviously, anywhere there's a doubler, that's a point that needs special attention to. You want to check your exhaust here, make sure there's no cracks in there. And then we're just going to sight along the tail cone, make sure all the rivets are in place, there's no cracks, no dents, antennas are hooked up. Empennage, same thing, just looking for any cracks or dents. Okay, so the gearbox is still the same basic design as the R44, it's just a lot bigger. So you want to check your bell crank, make sure that maneuvers. We're going to check our blades, and we'll check our bell cranks, PC links, slider bearing, oil level, which is now a synthetic oil. And then we still have the teletemp on the side that gives you a temperature range. This lower auxiliary stabilizer is on all the clippers, fixed floats, pop-out floats, and it's for longitudinal stability. So if you enter auto rotation at a high forward airspeed in a float ship, the nose will start to come up, and you can actually run out of cyclic. So what this does is the air coming up underneath keeps the nose down and keeps it longitudinally stable. Okay, still the same candy cane, tail rotor guard. Of course, don't push on it, you'll snap it right off. This you can push down on if you needed to. Sighting along the side of the left side of the tail cone, Again, make sure all the rivets are in, there's no cracks, dents. Engine left side, you have your cooling fan up here, which blows your air down over the two coolers. This one's for the main rotor gearbox. This one's for the engine gearbox. You have a little opening in here. You can sight in here and check, make sure there's no bird nests or debris or anything in there. And then the turbine on the right side, you've got your anti-ice, got your fuel lines, thermocouplings, your power turbine governor, fuel pump down on the bottom. In this access, you have your engine oil, maximum 6 quarts, minimum 4. You've got a sight glass, and then you also have a little dipstick here that you can check. The sight glass starts to get a little cloudy. You have your oil filter for the transmission, a little pop-up, red pop-up indicator if it's blocked. You can also see the right side of the air filter and the cooling fan. And you probably won't be able to see it, but the hydraulic reservoir up here has a little LED light on it, and there's also a little LED light on the transmission sight glass for the gearbox oil level. 3 of the doors have indicators to tell you if it's open. The one with the APU on the other side, this side, and then also the fuel.
Freedom through performance. At Cirrus, performance is not simply the measurement of a single design parameter. Rather, it's a total package. It's optimum balance of speed, efficiency, comfort, safety, ease of flight, and quality. We call it Cirrus Flying 2.0. Aren't you ready to feel the freedom?
To get up to the top, you have a handheld here. Left foot goes first. I usually cheat because I'm short and step on this. So you just put one foot here, come up to here, step up here, and then you're up to the top. And you're pretty much eye level with it. So basically rotor head, same design as the R44, just a lot bigger. You're checking your PC links, making sure there's no slop or looseness, make sure all the torque stripes are on. Spin the blade around, which is a little bit heavier, but once you get going, it's not bad. So your droop stops. Make sure there's no oil leaking out of the boot. Make sure your cotter pins are in your main rotor bolts. And lower swash plate check. Okay, to exit, to get down, you just simply look down at the step there. You can kind of put your hand here. What you want to be careful of is the corner of this right here so you don't stick your face in it. Put your left foot right under your right foot, and then you're down. Down here is the sump drain. You just pull it out and pour it into a little tube to check your fuel. Suggest that you do this with gloves, because if you get Jet A on your hands, it's going to stay there all day. Up here's the fuel. Got a big sign, jet fuel only. As the pilot, make sure you stay with the aircraft after, make sure it's fueled with the proper fuel. And it's got your basic opening right there. Okay, kind of finish off with just general cosmetic beauty. Fairings on. Static port open. Pins in the door. Lights on. And that's it.